Well, good morning, y'all. Another day, another grind. No run this morning. I'm running a little behind, but I did want to come out here, take a quick walk, and just talk to y'all, tell you some of the thoughts that are on my mind before I get up and get rolling for the day. We'll tell you, I slid a little bit today. My little man woke me up this morning around about a quarter to 5 this morning, and I was not feeling getting up. I got up, gave him a cup of milk, and put him back to bed. But I was wrestling with whether or not to just stay up, because man, my body was telling me, nah, man, that bed is awfully comfortable. Don't you wanna just stay in the bed, right? Don't you wanna just crawl back in the bed? And well, the body won today. I got back in bed and just kind of laid there. I didn't really go back to sleep. I got back up about 6 o'clock, and in hindsight, I wish that I would have just gotten up. I still got some time in the Word this morning, but anyway, that extra hour would have been nice in hindsight. And I think part of me wanting to make this video this morning is to remind myself that sometimes doing the hard thing is doing the good thing. Because getting back in bed was easy. Wasn't nothing hard about getting back in bed. But looking back on it, I would have been better off having put in the hard work and having just gone ahead and gotten up at 5 o'clock this morning. Gone ahead and got the French press going, sat down with the Word and prayed and thought about it. And anyway, so that's kind of a challenge to myself, is to do the hard thing. But look, we're not going to win. We're not going to do it every single time. There's going to be times where we fall short. And that's where we've got to extend grace to ourselves. So I'm going to extend a little grace to myself, but I'm going to use it as a learning experience. Say, hey, going forward, let's get up. Let's do the hard thing. Because that was the case, man. I might have been able to get up and go for a run, even though I've already got 3 runs in this week. But my legs are starting to feel good, starting to feel used to it, at least right now. Now that's easy to say while I'm walking around, but we got to put in the work. And somebody was asking me one of my other videos about procrastination and how can we fight procrastination. I think one of the crucial elements to fighting procrastination, I think really a lot of it has to be breaking it down into smaller chunks. I know a lot of the times when I don't want to do something and I put something off, it's because it's too big of a task, or it's something that I just don't want to do, I don't feel like I can do, or there's too much pain involved in having to deal with it. But being able to break that task down into some smaller chunks. Like a lot of times my storage building, when I go in there and start pulling stuff out, working on projects, rebuilding carburetors or tinkering on this and that, it's it's really easy for me to just let stuff sit there and it become a mess, and then it just gets a little overwhelming where it's like, man, I don't want to mess with this. But what I find helps is like, okay, I'm just going to go in there and I'm going to clean up this one table. I'm just going to go organize this one little section. That's all I'm going to do. And generally what happens is I go in there and I do that one section, and then I get some momentum on my side and things start going. And that's when I make progress. You know, I think the hardest thing is going from 0 to 1. So that's the key, is being able to get ourselves up and moving. So just start where you can start. If you find you're having trouble reading a book you want to read, and pull it out and be like, okay, I'm going to read 2 pages. I'm going to read a page. You know? Just read a page, read 2 pages, put it up. Okay? And then go back. Put it down, and then decide, okay, later I'm going to go back and read 2 pages. Not like, hey, I'm going to read 5 chapters. I'm going to read half this book. I'm going to sit down and read for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. Yeah, man, that's going to become pretty daunting, pretty overwhelming. You know, like working out. Like, hey, man, I want to run a marathon. Okay, that's fine if you're running every single day. You're running 4 or 5 miles a day every day. Okay, but if you ain't ran the first mile, start with walking a mile. Start with walking half a mile. Start with walking down your driveway. Just break it down into chunks, and I think the big key is realizing where you are. Man, we got to be honest with ourselves. I know a lot of times in my life, I wish that I was further along. I wish that I was in a different spot. I wish I was in a different place. But I get a lot more done when I can acknowledge where I am. You know, it's kind of like I was talking about yesterday in that Lupe Fiasco song, Superstar. Say, if you are what you say you are, have no fear. Right? Because then there's no facade. But man, if we can't be honest with ourselves, we have zero hope of being honest with anybody else. So own it. Admit to yourself where you are. You gotta, I mean, that's something that only you can answer. And nobody else answer that for you. You gotta be the one to answer that. When you answer that, you know where you are, and you have a better idea of what you need to do to get to where you want to be. And that's the question, man. You got to ask yourself, where do you want to be? Not where do I think somebody else wants me to be. Where do I want to be? I know that's something that I've often struggled with. And I mean, look, man, it's not bad to seek wisdom and advice from those in your life that you can trust. But you got to take advice from yourself too on where you want to be. Now, I think we got to exercise some caution in that, because we can also lie to ourselves. That's why I think we need prayerful consideration. Prayerful consideration to know, what we want, but also what does God want for us? What does the Lord want for you? Because you were created for a purpose. I was created for a purpose. We were made in the image of God. We were created in the mind of God before the world began. You were made for a very specific purpose. So seek and ask the Lord what that purpose is. That's something we got to do, to put in more work, put in more hard work. Because it takes time, it takes discipline to put the devices down, to turn off the screens, to cut out the noise, and actually seek the Lord and ask Him, Father, what would you have me do? What kind of man do you want me to be? What are the desires you have for my life? The Psalm says, delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. Delight yourself in the Lord, and He will give you the desires of your heart. It takes work. It takes work. Maybe you're thinking, man, I just can't do this. I can't do. Look, I'm telling you, break it up into small chunks. Say, man, I can't. There ain't no way I can get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Look, I understand that's a struggle. That was a struggle for me today, and I failed. I'll own it. I failed. But that's not where the story ends. Because I'm going to get up and I'm going to fight another day. All right, but maybe get up an extra 15 minutes early. 30 minutes early if you can. Break it into chunks. Start where you can start and go from there. Hey man, start where you can start. Figure out a way to break it down into chunks. And I wish I could give you a simpler guide, a better way to say, hey, here's exactly what you need to do, but some of that stuff we got to figure out on our own. We got to do the work. So y'all do the work. Put in the hard work. Do the right thing. Break them big tasks down into chunks so there's something easy to do. They always say, how do you eat an elephant? So one bite at a time. Start where you can start. All right. It's time for me to get on the road and start. Y'all be blessed.